Welcome to step number 7 along the Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth. Today along the path, a deeper dive into inner child work. No swimsuit needed. Handling everyday triggers in life, and working with the conscious and subconscious mind. Now, let's get started along today's Practical Path. And welcome. This is the Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth. I'm Bill Skladowski, and with me, of course, as always, every week, Vicki Wagoner, coming to us live and direct from Blue Ridge, Georgia. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. We were just having a humorous discussion before the recording started about how people kind of screw themselves over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're good at it. Let me tell you, I've had a few of those times.
And it's hilarious because this morning she sits down. We record this on Zoom where I can see her and she can see me. You only get the audio for it at the moment. But she's wearing a T-shirt that has a picture of a lobster on it. And the lobster is saying, excuse me, what's all the melted butter for? And I think that's interesting in a number of ways. It's kind of like people aren't really looking around, seeing what's going on in the world or for themselves or whatever. And then they wonder, hey, wait a minute, why am I in this pot of boiling water? What's going on here? And I think sometimes folks just, we don't pay attention to life or to people or to relationships or whatever until the you-know-what hits the fan.
Yes, a lot of times. Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, no.
And again, I think we're 10 for 10. I don't know which show number this is. I'll have to check on that. We've recorded several shows in advance, but we always say on every show that it's a matter of doing your best to try to be aware of what's going on around you with your life, not the whole world. You don't need to be aware of the whole world, but for you, what's working, what's not working? How can I change that? How can I look at it from a different perspective? One of our favorite little phrases.
Yes.
Maybe get that 50,000 foot overview of things and see, oh yeah, look at that. I'm in a pot of boiling water. What's up with that? How did I get here? How did I get here?
Yep.
It's just a random thought to start a random show this week.
Yeah. Good jumping off place.
Right. So, I mean, when was the last, you don't have to be specific, but I'm just saying, it's like, what do we do? How do we better notice that sort of a thing that it's like, oh, look, I'm kind of, as my father used to say, because when he would visit me in Florida, he would always say, it's hard to remember your main job was to drain the swamp when you're up to your ass in alligators.
Oh my God.
That's another one of those melted butter things, right? So keeping on track for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do, or do you have anything that you use for a little bit of mindfulness to keep yourself on track these days?
I always say, step back and be like an observer of what is going on. So instead of having the emotions of it kind of run your life, step back and see the bigger picture so that you take down the facts of what's going on. And by seeing facts, it keeps you out of, the hurt, the anger, the frustration, or the pain, so that you can put the pieces together by your choice, because a lot of times life kind of, is slamming at us and from all different directions. So if we take time to step back, see it from that different perspective, it's like you can line it up. It makes more sense. You're calmer, and you can make choices based upon what you see, what you feel, what you know, instead of just that confusion or that hurt or that pain.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Well, it does. And yet your friend there on the T-shirt would say, that's great, Vicki, but it's kind of too late once you're in the pot of boiling water. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. But
you can always jump out.
Right.
Okay.
I hope people know that. I hope people figure that out, that you can always jump out. You're never stuck anywhere.
No, you're not stuck. It's a choice that you have to make. How much do you love yourself, respect yourself? How much do you feel that you have the right to look at these things from a higher, different perspective? A lot of it goes back to childhood. So I always tell people, what happened in your childhood that kind of set the stage for you for the rest of your life that so far?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have these big people and we look up to them and go, oh, well, they're big people. They've been around a long time. They must know everything. So I'm going to believe them. Well, the surprise is that people don't realize these big people, our parents or bosses or whomever, they have little kids inside of them. And
Right.
often we're operating from the mentality of things that have happened in our childhood. Even though you're in these big bodies,
Mm.
your mind and your experiences are based upon what you first learn, what you first see, what you first buy into, so to speak. So being okay to step back and go, well, let me just observe my past, maybe my childhood or a teacher or some big person in their life that said something that you almost get frozen in time with.
Right.
So it takes courage, it takes strength. Mostly it takes love for oneself to say, okay, I'm willing to look into the dark so I can put the light on it and shift my perspective of it.
Right. Right.
And that's empowerment.
Hey, it's Bill stepping out of the studio for a quick second. On the podcast, one of the things we talk about a lot is motivation, the desire to get things done in life. It might be physical stuff, losing a few pounds, getting a better job, finding a great relationship. Or it might be more of what I like to call internal things, finding ways to feel better about yourself or life in general. Well, to help our listeners along that particular path, we've prepared a helpful, simple guide for personal motivation. It's called Flipping the Switch: How to Create Motivation at a Moment's Notice. I'd like to send you a free copy, along with some other special bonus goodies. Bonus, you say? Well, yes, kind of an unadvertised in-store special. What is it? Well, you'll just have to find out for yourself. So, do this. Head over to the website, www.thepracticalpathpodcast.com. Yep, the same name as the podcast itself. Put in your email and we'll immediately send you to the free download. We'll also let you know about upcoming podcast episodes and other behind-the-scenes information. Again, just head over to the website, www.thepracticalpathpodcast.com, and get your free guide to boosting your personal motivation. I'm sure you'll find it helpful and, dare I say, practical. Now, back to the show. Hopefully, then, you don't... What? Well, I was going to say, hopefully you don't end up in the pot of boiling water, but you still might due to some circumstances or something that happens in life. But I guess keep beating on this metaphor is that you can figure it out. Once you get there, you don't just go, oh, this is comfortable. It's like a hot tub.
Yeah.
You say, no, this does not end well. This doesn't. So maybe I want to do something about getting my butt out of here, my lobster butt out of here and doing something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we always come back to this thing of recognizing and being able to step back and to take the 50,000, pick your distance, 50,000 foot view of things in life to know that what's working, what's not. So, all right. I wrote this down as you were talking, and we've mentioned it 100 times. Well, we haven't had 100 shows, but we've mentioned it as many shows as we have been on, and we have done, and we'll continue to do. We continue to mention the fact that as we are coming up in this world, and I mean growing up as children or whatever, that we see the big people in our lives physically, emotionally, by stature, by title, by whatever, priest or reverend or rabbi or mother or father or grandmother or grandfather or teacher or you name it. And we take what they are giving us, if you pardon the pun, as gospel, as something that is obviously coming from someone of importance. So therefore it must be important for us to learn. And yet I hear you say it all the time that these people, no matter where they are in life, our parents, our teachers, our whatever, they are still also dealing with that. And here's the word, inner child.
Yes.
All right, let's unpack that, as the cliche goes in the modern
Okay.
world. Let's unpack that a little bit because we use it a lot. And I don't think we've ever dug into exactly what that means and how that works. So I'm going to let you just expound on that. That's a big word. Just going to let you talk about that for a little while. And I'm sure questions will come up and I'll be happy to answer them. But what is it? Well, what does that mean to you? What does that inner child thing mean to you? Let's start with that.
Well, to me, the inner child is always there with us.
Right.
So I feel our responsibility is if something's happened in our past and it's still affecting us, I feel by taking responsibility for going, I'm going to look a little deeper into it. When I was little, I was learning, I was growing. We don't have the mentality or the words or, the emotions that, we can express, to, help ourselves to get out of situations. Because again, like I said before, we're these little people and we look up to these big people that look like giants and we go, well, they're big. They must, they've been around a long time. They must know everything. So things that they tell me, it must be true.
Right.
Yet again, they have little people inside of them. So they are, unless they've done inner work or ability to shift their perspective of things, they're still repeating what they were told by the big people that raised them. So it gets carried on sometimes generation after generation.
Right.
And for me, a good example is my dad. My dad was very domineering. He was a lot of in control. He was, kind of brutal, very brutal. And so I just was mostly I was afraid of him. And I figured, well, he's a big person. He's been around a long time, so he must know everything. My
Mm.
mom, bless her heart, was sadly so beaten down by him that I couldn't depend on her. So I kind of had to, I kind of floundered.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like being in the deep end and you just keep paddling, hoping you're going to get to the edge of the pool,
Right. Right.
So that's pretty much been my life until I did hypnotherapy and I did some counseling. And that's when I realized I'm still a child and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this adult body. So I thought, oh my gosh, if I'm this little person inside in these adult bodies, what about the people that are helping me? What about the people that I'm working with? Or
Right.
what about my friends? And I started thinking, we all have little kids inside of us.
Mm.
So we have to be our own best friend. We have to be our own parent if parenting, unfortunately, wasn't, one of your parents' fortes.
Right.
And be your own best friend, be your own parent and
Mm.
reparent yourself.
Mm.
Look
And
at things from a different perspective.
you said I kind of made it I was clear in my throat there, and you said reparent yourself. Is that the word you
Yeah.
used? What does that
I
mean?
meaning be the parent to yourself. I read a lot of books. I did a lot of talking. I did a lot of, crying and screaming and kicking, because I
Right.
needed to get this all out. And then I thought, okay, what can I do for myself? If I were my own parent, how would I want to treat my inner child?
Mm.
So I had to be patient. I had to be kind. I had to set boundaries. I had very loose boundaries because I didn't know what boundaries were when I was younger,
Uh-huh.
going up into even into my 20s. Um, so looking at what was best for me, and looking at things from the perspective of, well, why was this projected onto me? What was going on with my parents that they acted like this? My dad being abusive and my mom being very passive. And I realized, wait a minute, they still have little kids in them. So what happened to them?
Right.
And so from that perspective of compassion and patience and forgiveness, I started changing my world around and I actually became friends with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And with my mom, sadly, I couldn't because she was just so locked in. I never really had a relationship with my mom.
Hmm.
And I think it's because, you know, there were seven kids, and really it was like there were six kids and then there was me.
Okay.
I was so different. I knew things, I felt things, I say things. I was very vocal. Once I started, speaking, I was super quiet, super shy because I didn't believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started reparenting myself, supporting myself, cheerleading myself on, shifting perspectives of the past, I started blossoming. I started growing. I started evolving. And I'm the first one to say, you're seeing me on a good day. You know?
Another one of your favorite lines. But yes,
Yes.
I get it. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
because it's continuing. It's a
Right.
continuum. You're continually growing, shifting, evolving, releasing, bringing in. So, it's a process. It's a lifelong process.
So it's still, and all the things you've talked about, all the things you've mentioned as far as how the thinking about yourself, caring about
Mhm.
yourself,
Mhm.
being your own parent, friend, whatever.
Right.
Those are things. I mean, as you were saying them, I'm like, oh boy, wouldn't that be great if real parents gave that energy, whatever you want to call it, that life, that energy to real parents gave it to their real kids. And
Oh, definitely.
sadly, or whatever, that doesn't really happen all that much. It doesn't. And is it because we're, like you said, we're still, even at whatever age, at 30, 40, 50, we are still dealing with the things that we were given as children, and that we still continue to parrot those things back into the world, either as parents or as the way we deal with people or in business or whatever.
Yep. Something could trigger you,
Right.
and it takes you back to childhood, and either sad or happy or tantrums or whatever. So if that happens, be okay to feel it, yet step back from it and go, okay, why is it still triggering me? What is going on? What do I need to look at, a little bit deeper?
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I say, we're all a work in progress. So if you have a moment like that, the best thing you can do is be loving and supportive of yourself. Go, okay, you've had your moment. Now, what are you going to do? How can
Right.
you change it? How can you move forward? But I fully believe you have to feel whatever is coming up so that you can turn it around into a gift, turn it around to empowering yourself. So be okay to experience it and then step back, be like the reporter taking down the facts of what happened and go, okay, what did I learn from it? How can I grow from this? How can I shift it?
Right.
And then I also love to share it to empower other people, to
Right.
inspire other people.
Well, which is exactly what we're doing here. So
Mhm.
thank you, and we'll continue.
Thank you.
um, right. And you said something there that, see, I knew this was going to happen, that you'd throw out a line here or there, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Because I was a reporter for 25 years.
And
So
you still kind of are.
still kind of, oh yeah, not still. Absolutely still a
Always.
reporter. Yeah, yeah. And you said that it's important to allow yourself to feel those things.
Yes.
And maybe maybe for us guys that's hard to do. Now, I'm not saying that women are way, whatever, so much better at that. Some are, some aren't. I get it. All right, folks,
Mhm.
don't pull the sexist card on me. But in general, boys are taught little, big boys don't cry and the whole thing. And
Oh, yeah.
so do you think, or do you have a feeling that maybe that's part of what well, obviously that's something that men need to work through, that men need what support and their own recognition and
Yeah.
whatever, because they may indeed feel that. And gosh, we were just listening to this podcast, and the lady on the podcast said it's okay to feel it and express it and all of that. And it's like, ooh, express it. Ooh,
Yes.
that sounds not good. That sounds, again, that goes against what I was taught as a child.
There you go.
Right.
Yep. hmm Guys have
What
to
are we
be,
doing with that?
well, guys have to be macho. They got to be tough. You
Right.
got to be the strong one.
Right.
Well, there's strength in letting go. There's love in letting go. And when I work with, people, especially men, I'll tell you, when I get them to cry, that is like my best day because they need to.
Right.
Okay. You think about people that have heart attacks, the body and the mind is all connected.
Right.
So if something's going wrong in your body, it's because you're holding it, you're carrying it, you're stuffing it. And after a while, it's like stuffing a bag. It's going to burst.
Mm-hmm.
You can only put so much stuff in a plastic bag before it's going to rip apart.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with our mind, with our body. If we keep stuffing and stuffing and stuffing, what happens? Heart attacks, strokes, you
Right.
know, all these things that can happen. So I know it sounds kind of mean, but I'm serious because men tend to think that they need to be macho. I can't cry. I can't express myself. I can't say the truth. Well, excuse me for being, graphic, but that's
Say it.
BS. It's bullshit.
Say it. It's okay. Say
Okay, that's how I feel. And again, I got to tell you and I make a lot of people cry, which is, just kind of my, I should be my tagline.
Right.
Because what I'm doing is I'm taking away their uncomfortable comfort zones.
Hmm.
Get comfortable in what is uncomfortable,
Hmm.
and it hurts them. So I prod, I poke, put it right in their face so that they have to look at it. And they can keep it if they want. I hope they don't. But most times they go, oh my gosh, I never realized this, or I was afraid to look at it, or,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, somebody would think that I was weak. This is the strongest thing you can ever do is to be your own best friend, to look at the truth of things that have happened in your life and shift perspective on them and see them for what they are. And, I'm not saying that, their parents or their grandparents or friends or teachers were mean, and purposely hurting. It's they were projecting their hurts, their pains, or their, things that have gone in their life onto somebody in hopes that, they could feel better, subconsciously.
Right. Right. So that's another. Okay. You keep hitting these wonderful good points, and that is why other people do that. SHIT to each other, to ourselves, to each other, and they're trying to somehow process their own feelings, their own anger, guilt, sadness, whatever. Is that why that stuff comes out when we're doing in a relationship?
I wouldn't say that they're processing it. I say, this is kind of graphic, I say that they're vomiting onto other people
Right.
because it's uncomfortable. And what do you do when it's uncomfortable? You let it go.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're projecting it onto other people for that moment that they can feel empowered, but it's a false empowerment because you're hurting somebody else. You're throwing something onto somebody else instead of saying, hey, wait a minute, you know what? I'm having a bad day and I really got to look at this.
Right.
And I got to see, why is it affecting me so much? What is it bringing up? What gift can I gain from this? Because when things come up, it's your higher self is saying, hey, you're in a place where you can look at it, you can address it. Yet you've got to be willing to go, okay, I'm having a bad day. Why did I do this? How can I shift it? What did I learn from it? And a lot of people are afraid to look at themselves, to go within and go, I acted this way. Why did I do that? Oh, I remember, in the past when, my mom, my dad, or, a sibling would do this to me, and this was my reaction. So it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of strength to go, wait a minute. I was, really projected onto somebody some bad stuff that really it's my stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I own it. And by owning it, I'm going to shift it and then I'm going to let it go.
So again, you've given me another thing to talk about, but I did want to go back to say, yes, I used the word process, and
Mhm.
that's not right. That's like you said, because to me, process involves I'm thinking about it, I'm
Mhm.
making some decisions about it, and I might choose to do things a different way or something like that.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, as you pointed out accurately, I think we're not actually because processing involves resolution at some
Yes.
point. And when somebody has a mindless reaction to something around them, to their kid, to their coworker, to
Mhm.
traffic, whatever,
Right.
that's not processing. That's not, you're not, there's no, there's no higher brain thinking going on there. That just, bang, it just comes out.
Right.
Right. So, okay. So Bill,
So
go back and scratch that off the record, but it's not. We want to do that, right? I mean,
right.
that sounds
Yes.
like a good goal to be able to
Yes.
say, oh, wait a minute. Now that I'm
Mm-hmm.
consciously aware of what I was either thinking of doing or what literally just happened, to be able to say, all right, let's process. Now let's do that.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Because what we're doing is just projecting.
Right.
We want to get it out, and at that moment you really don't care who gets it. It's like it builds up. It's like a pressure cooker. It builds up, it builds up, it builds up, and that there's that one moment that all of a sudden, the top flies off and
Right.
everything comes out. So processing is like you were just saying, stepping back, looking at the pieces of it. Why am I still reacting? Why am I still having these feelings? Even though I was 3 and now I'm, 71, why am I still holding on to this?
Mm-hmm.
That's what takes courage. That's what takes love. That's what takes strength to go, okay, I've been doing this my whole life. I've been growing and evolving. I got to really look at this and see how can I turn this around? What is still triggering me?
Right. And that I there's a little bit of cringe to trigger nowadays because a lot of people use it for a lot of, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, stupid stuff. They use
Yeah.
it for things that, it's like if I'm a vegan and I walk past a hamburger stand, that triggers me. Okay, I get it kind of, but how about you just, deal with it? So
Yes.
I don't be sending me hate email. I thank you. I get it already, but don't, that's not what I mean. What I mean is what Miss Vicki is talking about in terms of something happens to me today. I have an experience today and I, looking back on it, I'm, going to bed at night and saying my prayers or doing a little thinking about my day just passed. And I'm like, oh boy, when I was, in traffic or whatever, I really just exploded at some guy who cut me off in traffic. I want, what's that all about? So that's the kind of trigger I'm talking about, where it's something that happens to you and causes a reaction in you that really has nothing to do with the outside world, right?
Yes.
I mean, okay, if you're a
Yes.
vegan and you walk past a burger joint, I get it. That smell of burning cow, it might be something you don't like. I get it. I understand it. But that's external. This is internal.
Internal.
And a
Yeah.
lot of people I feel are, shall we say, challenged by the thought of looking in and going, what is it in me that's doing that, or that's causing, like you said, that vomiting reaction, just that immediate, unthinking, unplanned, unscripted, just blah.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, about whatever, to whatever. There may be another person involved. There may not be another person involved. It might be something that you would say, oh yeah, that was kind of crappy of that other person to do that thing to you, or maybe not.
Yeah.
So again, that self-reflection, that willingness to reflect on your day. Maybe that's a good homework for this week is, when you're going to bed at night, when you're brushing your teeth or whatever you do, take a minute and just review the day. Just do a quick review and say, all right, was I mindful in the way that I responded to life today? Or did I have a moment where I just blasted somebody, something, some whatever for no good reason? So yeah.
No, and that's a good thing, is reflection on it, because the more you look at it, the more you embrace it and go, okay, I had a rough day. Why? And then forgiveness is a big part of it too. Is forgive yourself for having that moment that triggered you, and by looking at it, shifting it all, and it's about energy. That energy shifts, and everything around you shifts. So it's kind of, like when you want to focus on something, you put these positive vibes into it, and you envision it and you imagine it, you write it down, you draw it, whatever. The visualizing, it's the same thing with your past. You can do that with your past and shift your past from that perspective. And I did that with my dad. And I've said before on the program, I was the last person that was there when he passed away. And it was such an honor. I know it's a little graphic, but it was such an honor to close his eyes because to me, it closed the book.
Right.
And I did it with forgiveness, and I did it with confronting him and talking to him about it. And he actually asked me to forgive him, which
Mm-hmm.
was huge for my dad because he was very stoic and strong and, very little emotion. So I believe in his passing that the softness came out of him because I treated him with respect. I helped him, guided him, and I
Mm-hmm.
was there for him.
Mm.
And and I feel I gave to him what he never really had.
Mm. Which was what? Respect,
Love,
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 respect.
love, respect, forgiveness, understanding, releasing the past,
Right.
go with the hurt so that I can make room for compassion.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud of myself for that because I've told you before, I had siblings that lived 20 minutes away from him. I'm in Florida, he's in New York State. I'm flying back and forth to
Mm-hmm.
take care of him. I took care of him, physically. I put him in a nursing home. Sadly, his biggest fear was putting him in a nursing home. And
Right.
he actually said to me, that must have been very difficult for you. And I did. I said to him, it was, Dad, because I know this is one thing that you hated, you dreaded,
Right.
and I had to do this. So, but I was the one that stood up. I was the one that said, I'm going to do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really was one of my greatest shifts in my life.
And and it took time to get to it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
took, yeah. I mean, it's not like, well, yeah, I
Yeah.
think again, we live in this. I have to stop saying again, because there are themes that come up on this show every week, and I'm good
Oh,
with that. That's cool
mhm.
because if we can help somebody with one thing, and if somebody hears a show this week but didn't listen last week, this is new to you. So I'm not going to say again anymore. All right. So, but having said that, the shifting part of it for you, well, and for him, but more importantly for you, because you had the change about what you thought and felt, believed, and all that. It's not like you wake up in the morning and go, today's the day, doggone it. Today I'm going to be loving and kind and caring and mindful and all those great things that I see in the books. It don't work that way.
No, it's a
It's
process.
right. And yeah. And, as we've said many, many, many times, everybody is a work in progress. Everybody is a work in
Oh,
progress.
yes.
Some people are, I think, a little better at recognizing that. And more importantly, it's not so much that you recognize it, is that you allow for it,
Yes.
celebrate it as it
Oh,
goes. And
yes.
yeah. And then, oh, look, today I did a good thing. Today whatever, one little thing. I didn't curse at that guy who cut me off in traffic. I did, whatever. If that's what it takes,
True.
do that. Do that.
Yes. Well, and I've made the reference before, it's like everybody's impressed with the beach. If you look closely, those little pieces of sand are teeny tiny.
Mm,
So everything, no matter how tiny, medium, large, or extra large it is, it all collects. So
right.
even if you do one tiny thing today, that's adding to it.
Yes.
So being mindful today, going, wow, I was really mindful. I let that guy, go in front of me instead of honking at him. No, it's those little things,
Sure.
that add up. So what bigger things, since you did that one little thing, what bigger things can you focus on? How can you be, kinder, to a friend or to a child or to your spouse, or somebody that, you work with? Everything adds up. And if you fall down, okay, you fell down. What are you going to do to get yourself back up? That's what's important. Is how do you get yourself back up? How do you
Yep.
move this forward?
And that you just simply do get back up, because
That
some
you,
people fall
yeah,
down and go, I'm just going to stay here for a week.
yeah,
I'm going to stay on the floor. No,
right,
yeah. I mean, mentally, emotionally,
yeah,
spiritually, they have
mhm,
those moments where it's like, I just don't care anymore. Well, okay. Good luck with that.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying you have to be tough.
yeah,
I'm not saying you have to
right,
be a superhero about it, but I am saying that it's probably not doing you any good to stay on the floor and wallow in your self-pity there.
Right. And when you're wallowing in it, guess what? Everybody else does too until you change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I knew I think it was a mutual friend of ours who was also in the spiritual and coaching business down in Southwest Florida, who you always used to say a lot of people have those really pretty, little garden of misery kind of a thing. And it looks nice and it's comfy and it's pretty, but it's a garden of misery, and that's where they're living their life. So
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not sure how that metaphor particularly applies, but it works. So
It does.
well, look at that. We're halfway through the show, so let's take a quick break. This is awesome stuff, and I want to kind of continue on along the same vein. But for the
Okay.
moment, go refill your coffee or do whatever it is you need to do, and we will be right back. Welcome back. This is The Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth. I'm Bill Sklodowski, along with Vicki Wagoner. We are here with you every week, and we appreciate it. And thank you for joining us as we walk this path. We don't want to stretch the metaphor too much, but I think it's a pretty good one. We're kind of walking the path here, trying to figure things out as we go.
Yes, absolutely.
Little insights come and go. And we've been having this great discussion about the whole inner child thing. And I think there's still some gold to be dug up on that with the inner child thing. And a couple of questions come to mind. So I'm just going to, start throwing them out here. You can respond to whatever you like. But one of the things that we have talked about is how it really, whether you recognize it or not, I kind of don't like doing that very often, because some people are like, oh no, that would never be me. Well, it kind of is, but you're not thinking about it. So it's okay.
Mhm.
Everybody goes through that. And I think, well, tell me if I'm wrong, that it's subconscious. They say that your subconscious, whatever's, I'm pointing to the back of my head, which who knows where the hell your subconscious lives. But there are the things that you think about on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute, second-by-second basis.
Mhm.
I'm drinking coffee. I'm driving the car. I'm walking the dog. I'm whatever. And yet a lot of that, if repeated often enough, becomes a subconscious thing that you do without thinking. How many times have you driven somewhere and you've driven this same route every day? You drive to work, and it's like you hug the kids goodbye or hug the dog goodbye. You get in the car, and next thing you know, you're in your parking space at work, and you're like, how the hell did I get here? I don't remember driving. And that's your subconscious at work. It kind of takes over. I
Mhm.
mean, you unless you're crazy, you never think about breathing, but your body is doing it automatically all the time for you. You never
Oh,
think
yeah.
about, okay, I need to beat my heart now. No, it does itself. So here's my point, and I think it's that there are also a lot of things that we kind of just have, as you mentioned, things that were given to us or taught to us by the big people in our lives when we are literally physically children,
Mhm.
that get into that subconscious thing, and we have replayed them and replayed them and replayed them so many times back there in the subconscious. We don't do it consciously.
No.
Again, your subconscious is like driving the car. It's like doing this thing for you. And that is what makes it so automatic.
Yes.
And honestly, that's what makes it kind of challenging to go, oh, wait a minute, I need to actually use my real brain, my human brain, to think about this and see if it's actually still serving me.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it is it still serving me? Is it, helping me to move forward? How is it inspiring me? And it's okay to question things that you've been told, because
Mhm.
your parents or your grandparents or teachers, bosses, whatever, have had this ingrained in them. So, you got to, sometimes it's okay to question, is this right for me? Does it feel right?
Right.
Does it work? Or is it okay for me to shift it a little bit or even let it go? And and some people say, well, I don't want to be disrespectful. Well, you're
Right.
disrespecting yourself first. So
Right.
by respecting yourself, trusting yourself, going, this doesn't quite work for me. I think I'm going to try something different, is loving yourself, supporting yourself, encouraging that little child to go, you have a brain, you have a heart, you've got wisdom. Use it, trust it, give it a try. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, okay, it was your choice. Do something different.
Right.
Because I
Right.
tend to think sometimes people are almost like cattle. You ever see cattle? You got, the main, cow or
Right.
bull, and they
Right.
all trot behind.
Oh, sure.
Well, and humans are kind of like that sometimes. We just kind of get, ingrained that, okay, well, somebody does this, so we're going to follow them.
Right.
Well, you have a wonderful brain. You have a huge heart. You've got wisdom. You've got intuition. Start trusting that. And I get that a lot when I work with people. They go, well, how do I trust it? What do I
Exactly.
do with it?
Well,
Because
and
it's like a foreign language. It's like
yes.
I say trust and they go, whoa, wait a minute, what the heck is that? Well,
Right. And yeah, I've heard that, and I'm coming back to that because you
mhm,
uncovered yet another can of worms. But I've heard that so many times, you hear it in life, in business, in whatever, and it's like the wooden stake through the heart of the vampire. It's like, but we've always done it this way.
oh, oh gosh. I'm
Ah,
like, okay, wait a minute, I'm gonna pull my hair out.
right, right, right. And yet, and yet people might say that, and they know that it's like, okay, that's not really working. But it's like, you're like you said, I'm a cow, I'm a sheep, I'm a whatever, I'm just going along here. And in some things, like if you're in a business or a job or a whatever, that the company, the boss, the whatever, has a way of doing things, and you want to keep this job for whatever reasons, okay, maybe you do make the decision to go along. That's fine. We're not questioning that piece of it. The piece that
Right.
we're questioning is the I've always done it. I personally, Bill, I have always done it this way. And now you're asking me to look at something and say, does it work? Does it actually support your best life or whatever? And now that's the hard part. Now you're asking me, okay, now it's like I got to leave the herd of sheep or cows or whatever, and I've got to start thinking for myself. And damn, that's hard. Or it may not even be hard. It may be like something that I've never even thought of that. I've never, it's like you
Yes.
might as well be talking to a Martian or something. It's like, I have no idea what you're saying because I've never considered it. So again, here we go again with that moment of realization that it's like, can you step back and honestly look at what you're doing in your life
Mhm.
and say, is this working for me? And I think if I can
Yes.
offer one little bit of encouragement or one little bit of how to start with it, it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be something that anybody's even going to notice, perhaps, but it has to be like you said, the one grain of sand does not make a beach, but they add up over time.
Yes.
So, start easy, start with something small and
Yes.
easy and see how it goes and see what happens. Yes.
By saying that, what you're doing is you're going within yourself. You're talking to your inner child.
Mm-hmm.
And a child learns one little thing at a time. It takes
Mm-hmm.
like walking. I tell people, I said, you know how to walk. Do you ever think about it? They go, no. I said, yeah, when you were little, you had to think about taking that step and then taking the next one and taking the next one. So it's okay to change and to say, I'm taking this one step and the
Mm-hmm.
next step because you don't think about walking anymore. You just walk. So by starting out with being aware of it and conscious of it, the next thing you know, you just shifted simply by saying, okay, I'm taking this one step at a time. And it's amazing by just that little bit of focus, that little bit of attention, acknowledging, you're making a change, going, wow, I made this little bit of change. I feel so good. You're adding those, sand particles all together to the
Right.
point of do you ever think about walking? You ever think about, oh, I got to look at my feet? No, you just do. Well, that's the same, analogy of you've just changed and you're just doing it now. You
I do think
created a
about
whole,
walking a hell of a lot when I'm walking in Miss Vicky's backyard on the side of the mountain.
well, yes, yes, and I do too, especially at this age and with a broken shoulder. Yeah, I really do.
Because I don't want to land on my ass in the back on the side of the mountains in
Oh,
Georgia.
believe
That's a
me.
whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. That's okay. We
But
get
it's
it.
the analogy of
Right.
after a bit, you're just so used to it. You've created a whole new pattern. You created a whole new perspective for yourself.
Right.
And it can happen at any age. Everybody goes, I'm too old. You're never too old. You've got that little kid inside who's always looking, always exploring, always wanting something new.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I've said it on our videos before, in our podcast before. I get my grandkids together and I go, okay, of all of us, which is the youngest? As I've said, they point their fingers at me, roll their eyes, and walk away from me. Like, oh, I'm the only kid here.
Only kid here. Sorry. Sorry,
I
not
love,
sorry.
I do. I love being a kid. I'm 71 years old and I'm one of the biggest kids because I'm always looking. I'm always, open to exploring or shifting or changing,
Mm-hmm.
a challenge. I'm not going to, climb up on a cliff and jump off like I've seen on videos. Oh my God, I can't even watch them. I have heart attacks.
Right.
But I have, my limits too, and you have to have limits too.
Right.
But I'm always willing to try something new or have a new perspective or look at things from a different angle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And because it was interesting, you said, you talked about being the youngest kid in the room amongst your grandkids and even at your age or whatever. And I do hear, I don't hear it, but I see that in a lot of people that they get to the point where pick a number. It might be 40, 50, 60, it might be 80, 90, who knows? But somewhere somebody's going to pull that I'm too old card.
Oh yeah.
And you, among others, are living proof that that doesn't matter. You took, like you said, you had that complete change with your father at
Yes.
whatever age you were at. I know it's been in the past few years, but so yes, it's
Mhm.
not a matter of you. The clock never expires on your ability to change. It never does.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they used to think that they used to think of your brain that once you learned something, like when you got to be 18 or whatever, your brain kind of like was locked down or something. And nowadays they have this thing called, wait, I'll think of the word, neuroplasticity. Ooh, big word.
Oh,
Neuroplasticity, which means your brain continues to evolve just like the rest of your body. Like
yeah.
everything else. You feed it right, you take care of it, you keep it busy with, thinking
Mhm.
of whatever. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. This is not medical advice. But you can do things to keep your brain going the same way you can do things to keep your body going. And so we would argue, I think, that you can do things to change your own whatever outlook on life
Yes.
if you choose to do so, if you want
Oh,
to do
yes.
that and want to put in, and I was going to say the work, don't think of it as work. It's like
No,
it's a little itty bitty step, little thing.
it's like playing. How
Right.
children learn so much by playing. And that's what we still have to keep that playfulness in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Humor is another wonderful gift to have. It's being humorous. And if you do something silly or stupid, just, laugh about it. What did you learn from it? And keep moving forward. Yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
first one that laughs at myself, and I'm also the first one that'll jump all over myself, again, work in progress.
Right.
Yeah, but most of it is like, okay, I fell down. How did, I get myself up? So I focus
Mm-hmm.
on how am I going to get myself up? How am I going to keep moving forward? What can I learn from this?
That last piece, the what can I learn, I think
Yes.
is probably one of the most important things because
Mhm.
that's what we've been talking about for the past hour. And that's what we've been talking about for the past several weeks is all about the awareness to see when you've done something that doesn't line up with what you'd really like in
Mhm.
life. And how do I learn from that
Mhm.
and make changes to make it better the next time,
Yeah,
to do something different, whatever.
because every
Yeah.
time you do, you're moving forward.
Right. Right.
And
So
that's
don't be
so
afraid to move
important.
forward.
Yes, to keep moving forward. Absolutely.
And
I was just going to say
go
another
ahead.
great thing is write things down. You put it
Hmm.
in black and white. It makes a statement. Say like, okay, I got upset about this, yet I apologized and I turned it around and I looked at, the message that came from it. And then write down what was the result.
Mm.
So it's right there. So you have something in black and white to look at, to remind you to go, oh, I did this and I felt so good about it. So the next thing you do, write that down until the point of you don't need that reminder. You don't need that piece of paper, that black and white in front of you. Your life becomes full of color and it blossoms and it expands. And it's because
Mm.
of the steps that you took, then the discipline that you put into it to shift into
Hmm.
this whole new beginning.
Yes, yes to all that.
Mhm.
Also being mindful of the fact that maybe that first couple of times there might not be the immediate happy ending like we expect with a sitcom. In 30 minutes, this is going to be over and everybody's going to laugh and the credits
Oh,
come
yeah.
up and the music plays.
Yeah.
There, it's again, we keep saying work in progress, work in progress. So,
Yes.
yes, as you write things down, you might not today be able to write down, I did this, and oh, it felt so good. No, it might feel like you know what. It just might
Oh,
not
yeah.
be a happy thing at the moment.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you should stop. That doesn't mean you need to,
Mhm.
like, again, and I think you used this example earlier in the show, or we've done it before. The little kid learning to walk falls down and goes, "Oh, walking's not for me."
Right.
No, you keep doing it.
Keep
And
doing it.
I noticed that. I mean, with me personally, I'm we're all trying to lose weight. I get it. So my story is not that much different than anybody else. But I will say this, and that is I've done a couple of things to help me on my weight loss getting in shape journey, which is there's no junk food in this house, zero.
Good.
And I will be and here's how it shows up for me. Here's how it, and maybe I need to write it down. I hadn't thought of that. So thank you for that. But I'll be sitting in front of the TV watching a movie or a Netflix or a basketball game or something like that. And if I'm sitting in front of the TV, I need quote, I'm doing the air quotes, I
Air
need
quotes.
to be snacking on something. Popcorn, potato chips, tortilla chips. I need to be
Mm-hmm.
eating something. And
Right.
so I've been having those experiences the last few days where, clean the junk. I mean, I've been doing this since the beginning of the year. So I'm not bragging or anything like, oh, I made this huge shift, but it's a process. It's ongoing. I'm taking the small steps. There's no junk in the house. But so last night was a good example. I had that aha moment of I'm sitting here watching my Netflix or whatever. I should be eating something. Well, there's nothing to eat in this house, Bill. Yeah, but I really feel like I really, and then it's like, okay, the 50,000 foot view. Which of those two choices, eating something, not eating something, is supporting what I want? Is moving me? Because again, right now, it feels. I'm not gonna say terrible or like hell or whatever, but it's like it's not what I would prefer. I would prefer to have the bowl of
Sure.
popcorn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too.
Right. But having said that, now I can back up because I gave myself I gave myself a path. I gave myself a way to not do it by not having it in the house and
Okay.
going, oh, that
Yeah.
kind of sucks. But you know what? It is kind of moving me in the direction I want to go. Damn
Mhm.
it. So yeah, it's so yes. So all of your little aha moments, all of
Oh,
your
yeah.
things that you journal or write down,
Mhm.
they don't have to be they don't all have to be immediate victories, I guess, is my point of that long
Right.
story. They don't all have to be like, oh yay, sitcom, it's over, we resolved the plot, we found the bad, we captured the bad guy, we found the lost kitten, whatever. Because life isn't like that. Life is
Mhm.
messy and it takes time, and
Yeah.
allow yourself the time.
Yes. And also by you sharing this with someone else, with me, with our audience, look at how their energy is going to be. Wow, I'm going to support you. I encourage you. That was awesome. You inspired me. So as much as you're getting, you're giving, it always comes back. And it's supportive and it's encouraging. And somebody might say, hey, you know what? That was really a great note that you said, about, taking care of yourself and prioritizing, basically, So it comes full circle. So when you reach out to somebody and you share with somebody, it's going to come back. And it's also, they're going to share it with other people.
That's an interesting take on that. And I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm saying that, again, I never thought of that. I never, and again, because I'm not going to make excuses, but I'm going to say that's not been something that again, here I am, a guy. Sharing is not the top of my list of great attributes or whatever. It may or may not be. I'm not speaking for all my brothers out there. I'm just saying, and some, men, women, doesn't matter. If sharing isn't a big thing for you, or if I'm going to use another big word, if self-deprecation is a thing for you, and for me it kind of is, somebody will say, oh, you did such a great job on that. No, it was nothing. It was nothing.
Okay. So what did you just say to the little boy?
Right. Okay. That's the point I'm doing a bad job of making, is that well, you tell me, when I do that, when Vicki says, oh, Bill, you did such a great job with that project you were working on, whatever, and I go, yeah, it was nothing. What's going on there?
You are putting down your little boy, because it's your little boy that grew up to be you. So how much creativity, how much interest, how much passion have you had for what you're doing right now? It started with him. So you dismissing it or downplaying it is downplaying that little child. And we have to be our own best cheerleader. We have to be our own best friend. So again, celebrating, look, the choice that you made, you made a decision, and it was a wise decision, because look at how it's supporting you. It was a loving decision. So that little boy is going, wow, he's recognizing me, he's honoring me, he's acknowledging me. And that's what we all want. We all like to be seen and heard and appreciated and, acknowledged.
Right.
And to me, it's not an ego thing. To me, it's respect. It's gratitude. It's compassion. It's love. It's, having other cheerleaders around to keep you moving forward.
Putting self in front of all those things, self-respect, self-love, yeah.
Yes. Because it starts with us. That energy goes out. We're touching millions of lives we're never going to meet. And what happens? It comes back to us. So the greatest thing we can do is be our own best friend.
Right. For many, many, many reasons, some of which we've laid out today, and others will continue to lay out as we go. But yes, so that, so that's my homework then, is that when I hear myself doing that, oh, it was nothing, or don't worry about it, or whatever. Here in Florida, we have, a lot of Hispanic influence, which is wonderful. And, their word is de nada. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Well,
but yet it is.
Kind of is.
It's a big deal. Something.
Yeah.
So I know you've never had kids, but when my kids were little, anytime they did some little thing, like when they first fed themselves, or, they took their first step, or they rode their bicycle for the first time, it's this big celebration. And what did they do? It encouraged them. It inspired them. We still have that little kid inside. We still have to support. We still have to encourage. We still have to say, hey, you fell down. How are you going to get yourself back up? I know you can. And that's what it is. It's the positive energy, putting that love into it, that respect into it, that acknowledgement. So it's ongoing. And when we criticize ourselves or we minimize ourselves, it's that little kid. So it's really important. And if you do put yourself down, go, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to release that. I'm going to shift it around.
Right. Right.
And I know it sounds kind of hokey, yet by making that statement, I'm canceling that one and I'm putting in something positive. That old goes out and the new steps in.
Right.
And then you
Right.
start just being more positive because you're focusing on that.
Yes. And that, I mean, that's one of the oldest I cliches, whatever you want to call it, in the personal development in the spiritual world, is whatever you focus on, whatever it is that you are focused on is what you will find, what you will see, what you will get from life, all of those things.
Absolutely.
And my non-spiritual friends are going, oh, that's so crazy, that's so woo. I'm like, okay, good. Go out today when you're out in the world and just be a bitch to everybody and see what you get back. See how that works for you. And then tomorrow, be nice to everybody and see how that works for you. And tell me that you don't get back what you put out, because you absolutely positively do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Whatever goes out comes back. To me, the more I can put out that's good and helpful and empowering, it's going to come back to me, mostly because it lights me up. It makes me feel like I'm doing my job, and I've got this purpose. And I love inspiring people. I love empowering them. I love being their cheerleader.
Look at that. Perfect timing and perfect transition. If somebody would like to speak to you about finding a way to be their own cheerleader and all of that, how would someone get in touch with you?
Well, they can call me at 239-248-0586 or text, or they can email me at Vicki, Vicki Wagoner, Wagoner, 53 @gmail.com.
There you go. And we will have all of that, of course, in the show notes as you check on this program, wherever you download it from, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, it's all in there. So feel free to get in touch. And Absolutely. She will be a cheerleader for you. And by the way, she will also kick your butt. So it's
gladly for a good reason.
But for good reason. For good reason. This is that being your own best friend thing, because sometimes your best friend is just going to tell you to your face, hey, my friend, I love you, but you are screwing this up badly.
Absolutely.
So I'm not saying that's how she works. That's how I work. So that's why she's the professional. Yeah. That's why she's the professional and I'm the other guy. So, all right. But anyway, whatever you choose, however you choose to do it, be supportive of yourself, be your own best friend, and, just keep plugging along. That's all. Put another grain of sand on the beach today and that'll be good. So
absolutely.
Vicki Wagoner, thank you. As always, another wonderful show, and we will talk to everybody next week. Yes?
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Sklodowski.
I appreciate you giving that your best effort. All right, everybody, have a great week. Go out there, be good to people, and see that it comes back to you, and we will see you next week.